The build is quite unstable and suffers from a variety of performance-related issues. While CIG, that is certainly an understatement. The past few days then have been filled with login issues, serviceability problems, ships not arriving to their delivery points, elevators not working, and of course server disconnects. Now, before you reach for your keyboard and type up a comment, Obsidian, this is a test server. Yes, I'm fully aware of that, and this video is not a complaint. In fact, it is a documentation of my journey into the test world of Alpha 3.17, the latest patch for Star Citizen. So today I wanted to look at two things in specific, both of them visual related. This is the clouds around Hurston, as well as the river added to the world of Microtech. The new clouds then are rather beautiful, and we saw these the first time back in Crusader in a previous patch. They've now been added to the world of Hurston. Specifically, you can see them very nicely around Lorville. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to see too much in the way of that. We get a brief glimpse right here. My plan and intent was to arrive back later on and check them out again, but yeah, I haven't been able to get in with a fully functional ship. However, all that said, if you do want to check out the clouds and you're not logging into Star Citizen or can't, then do check out this clip from Reddit. The full link to the Reddit thread is linked in the video description. As you can see, it looks, in my opinion at least, truly stunning. At least that is when you can get in there and get it working. Moving on then, rivers. Now this is a very interesting subject. Rivers of course bring a load of nice graphical visual touches to the worlds of Star Citizen, specifically if and when they'll be added to other worlds or more locations. Right now it's just one location, one single river added to the world of Microtech. It's around 436 kilometers away from the city, the town of New Babbage. Now the only real way to get access to this river is to fly a ship there, unless you're planning on walking 436 kilometers. Yeah, to do that you can travel from pretty much any planet in the star system and quantum drive yourself, quantum travel to the location. It's going to take a bit of while and you're going to have to arrive at the specific coordinates. There is a route to do that. That's listed on the screen right here, so thank you to the Spectrum thread for creating that. There's also another far simpler way of getting there. Simply take off from New Babbage and head in the direction 205 degrees for 436 kilometers. Now the problem here is that you will need to get yourself a ship to do this. This took a very long time, many attempts, kept failing primarily for two specific reasons. Firstly, elevators have a trouble with working on the test server right now. Often they just simply do not arrive. And when the servers did work, when the elevators rather did work, there was another problem, and this was with the delivery of ships. As you saw, that ship was delivered to Hangar 10, so the console said. However, when we arrive at Hangar 10, you can see there is no ship available here at all. And this despite many attempts, many times logging on to different regions and trying again. Sometimes I would track the location of the ship, at which point you can see here. Yes, the system seems to think it's there, whether that's the server or the client thinks the ship is there, but no, it's not, so completely, totally unusable. In fact, in many dozens of attempts, only one single ship arrived for me, and that was the one that we see right here, the Constellation. Just a quick side point here, the Constellation still remains one of my favourite looking ships in Star Citizen. Anyway, straight out of New Babbage, on a heading of 205 degrees, I was to travel for 436 kilometers. Now at this point I had two choices. One was to fly up to a high altitude and try and get a bit of speed up, and then descend down hopefully at the correct location. But the alternative was to keep a lower altitude. I went with this one because I felt it much easier to stick with that heading of 205 degrees. Now it took quite a while, half a tank worth of hydrogen fuel to fly at that distance, and as perhaps it should have been expected, just got within range of the river, very close. Possibly can see it just here in the very distance, not quite sure. And then we get this message: absolute failure. Now I know I'm not the only one to suffer from these issues. I've asked around on the test servers, a lot of people having the same problems. Looking at the Spectrum forums as well, a lot of people having the same issues there. Now clearly a few people have made it to the rivers. You can see, or the river rather, the single river. You can see a clip of that right here, as well as a few screenshots from various different locations around the internet. But all in all, very difficult. Quite disappointed in fact that I wasn't able to make it. But that said, can't complain too much. CIG did say that this patch wasn't for the faint of heart. Now this is a particularly interesting point that I do just briefly want to take a look at and address. Let's take a look at CIG's forum post here. We want to note that the build we are rolling out is quite unstable and suffers from a variety of performance related issues. We're going to put this one out regardless in an effort to capture, monitor needed data. In short, this build will not be for the faint of heart. We're also going to refrain from opening the PTU feedback threads for this build, specifically because the feedback on this build would not be as valuable as something more stable. But all that said, for those still interested in jumping into the fray, it's very much appreciated. Our engineers in the UK will be monitoring closely once we open up to Wave 1, so your participation directly helps us resolve issues holding a 3.17 back from hitting the live servers. Okay, so at this point we don't know just how long this is going to be on the PTU and how long it's going to take before it arrives on the live servers. It could be a week, it could be a month, we really don't know. But all that said, the point really is here that CIG are well aware that this patch wasn't going to be stable at all and was going to suffer from quite a few problems. The most interesting point to me here though is the lack of opening a feedback thread. CIG clearly don't want feedback on this build, so yeah, what could that be about? Well, clearly they just want to gather data. Obviously the build is a complete mess, very unstable, a lot of disconnects here, so I can only guess that CIG were only able to go so far with testing this internally and needed a bit of a public release here to get the needed data to collect that together and try and issue some fixes. It's been 5 days then since the patch arrived on the test servers. In that time it hasn't really dramatically improved, well, at least not beyond the ability to log in. Initially it was impossible to log right in. Another point, the launchers wouldn't work. CIG did resolve both of those issues, but still a lot of problems. At any rate, very much looking forward to getting close to the river at some point in the future when things are settled down a bit. And of course, if you're interested in hearing a bit more about Star Citizen's patch 3.17 and some of its other features, then do check out the thread linked in the video description where you can find out all the details of everything that this patch contains. At any rate, that brings us to the end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.